skied 14 days on snow in the 2023-2024 season so far across 8 different resorts, largely in the Summit County area of Colorado. Not all, but mostly in that Silverthorne and Frisco area. And so my aim with this video is to just sort of share my thoughts on some of the quote-unquote best places for early season skiing right now. The date of recording this is Tuesday, November 14th. So if you're watching this video next week or it comes up at a later date, you know, this video will very quickly become dated. So just take that with a grain of salt. Like, I'm just trying to speak on the current conditions in Colorado and where might be the best place for you to go this coming weekend or these next few weeks. I know you guys love when I do these resort rankings, so just take it for the grain of salt. Like, yeah, it's just early season skiing. The whole point is just getting out, being in the mountains, all that sort of stuff. Like, not really a big deal. I'm only going to talk about resorts that I have went to, so I think Wolf Creek might also be open on the weekends, but I haven't been there, so I'm not going to include it. Just going to talk about the resorts that I personally went to this season so far. The main criteria for this is just the amount of terrain that's open. I mean, typically a mountain that has more terrain is going to be a little bit more fun and freeing to ski this early season. But other things that I will kind of take into consideration is travel time, mostly from the Denver area, because I assume that's where most people are going to be coming from. The crowds that you can expect, the access to the lifts, and bonus sort of like terrain parks for a lot of the park rats and people up there who enjoy skiing the park. Kicking off this list, number 8 is going to be Winter Park. Even though this mountain is probably one of the closest to the Denver area and the easiest to get to, I just felt like Winter Park is a very underwhelming sort of opening day, early season riding condition. However, since I've been there last for opening day, it does seem like they opened up the Airlift and also the Endeavor lift with a few other greens. So I think there's now actually 3 lifts sort of servicing the area, which is nice. But for the most part, it's still kind of just some very mellow greens that kind of bring you into this sort of cat track area with kind of one real sort of steeper pitch, I guess. So I just felt like Winter Park a little bit was kind of like a lot of flat skiing until the very bottom. And then by the time you kind of started to link turns together, it was over. But they also do have a terrain park, which I heard is very, very good for early season because it's one of the only like lift access, or like I think it's a rope tow maybe or something, so it's easy to get a lot of laps. And never been there, but if you are into rails and boxes and stuff like that, it seems like a pretty good area. Number 7 on this list is Arapahoe Basin, the first to open this year, but unfortunately they seem to only have the high noon run open. It's only the same run that was originally open when they first opened up. I do believe they're trying to get Lenawee and some other runs open, but again, at the time of making this, only high noon is open. But the nice part about high noon is that it kind of starts out flat, but then gets a lot steeper like in the middle, so kind of a little bit more advanced early season stuff. But still just one run open. If you're kind of really on it and you like to ski quickly, you're going to be down in literally like 20 to 30 seconds. So by the time you do 3, 4, 5 runs, it's kind of looking for something else. However, it is kind of easy to get to from Denver. You don't have to actually go through the Eisenhower Tunnel. You can just kind of pop over Loveland Pass. But I would assume most people have an Icon Pass. And so me personally, I don't think it would really be worth using one of your 7 days at Arapahoe Basin. But if you know you're not going to ski a basin kind of in the peak season of the year, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah, just I think kind of waiting till more stuff is open would be better for Arapahoe Basin. Number 6 is Loveland Ski Area. Loveland is another one of those very, very close and easy to get to resorts from Denver. You don't have to go through the tunnel. It's literally right off the exit. Technically, they have 3 runs open on their website or their trail map, but it really is just one run. It's kind of like the cat track at the top and then the sort of groomer in the middle, then the kind of run out at the bottom. So for me, it kind of felt like the top third and the last third of the run are very much kind of just like traverses almost. And you're really kind of like your only bulk of the run is in the middle. So even though they say they have 3 runs open, it's really just one run. Get some turns in the middle. It probably takes anywhere from like a minute to get down, minute to 2 minutes to get down. But they have a nice little terrain park. So again, kind of a nice little bonus for people who have access to Loveland and are looking for just some rails and boxes. That's there in case you want to do some of that as well. And it's worth mentioning that the chairlift Shetstream is extremely quick. So even though the runs take 1 to 2 minutes, whatever, to get down, 2 to 3, the lift takes just about the same. So you can really get a lot of laps in a very short amount of time. Number 5 is Breckenridge. This is a little bit longer of a drive to get to from the Denver area, but again, not Not super crazy, just on the other side of Frisco. The cool part about Breckenridge is that they do have 3 chairs open: Colorado Super Chair, the 5 chair, and I think kind of like a beginner area, which is really nice to sort of separate people who are a lot less experienced in skiing, kind of give them their own little area. And also the 5 chair allows people who are a little bit more advanced, but they might not want all of the vertical that Breckenridge has to offer right now. So in a way, it kind of helps separate people. But the thing with Breckenridge also is that it can kind of get very congested, especially as the Colorado Super Chair and the 5 chair converge and link together. Breckenridge says they have like, a handful of runs open, and they kind of have like 2 main runs open. I think Springmeyer and like 4 o'clock are kind of like your 2, the way it forks, and they kind of link back up again. So it's nice because it gives you some options, but for me, my experience was just very crowded, and the big gaps in skill level make it very hard to sort of get in a rhythm and actually feel like you're really skiing. So lots of heads up stuff, but again, just kind of what is expected in the early season. So they also have a little hike park with, again, 2 boxes, 2 rails or something like that for the park rats and park homies out there. Number 4 is Eldora. This is the closest mountain to the Denver metro area, so you're gonna get a lot more crowds, in my opinion, especially on the weekends. A lot more sort of kids and university students who just want to go up for some early season skiing. I will say the terrain was pretty damn good. Like I think they have like technically 4 runs open, but it really just, again, feels like 2 the way they kind of all flow together. So mostly all off the Alpenglow lift at the bottom there, but can kind of give you 2 good options to like really sort of get on the edge and actually feel like you're skiing before the run ends. So, and I think for the most part, Eldora is a little bit lower in elevation and gets a lot of sun early in the morning. So the snow quality you might find is a little bit more slushy and a little bit ever changing compared to some of the higher elevation resorts that you'll find out in Summit County. But the park at Eldora is probably one of the best early season parks. Again, it's the same sort of hike to box rail thing. If you are into that sort of stuff, you can't really beat a park there right off the bottom. Vail was one of the mountains I was most impressed with for an opening day. It is going to be like the furthest sort of commute from the Denver area. Gotta go up over Vail Pass and stuff like that. But I think that sort of has some benefits as well. Like you might not get as many people, you could say. I did find that the skill gap at Vail was a lot less. I just felt like the sort of quality of skiers was a little bit higher, and it made the experience a lot better because it just felt like the overall pace of the day of the skiing was a lot higher. Now there's really only 2 runs open at Vail. I think it's Ramshorn and what's the other one called? Put it right here. But they're ripping groomers, in my opinion. They're fast, they're wide, they're long, and just kind of felt like it was the one spot where you could really actually lay down some turns and like have a day. So while the access might be a little bit more difficult, and sort of like the parking is obviously its own issue at Vail with the Peta Park and West Vail, all that sort of stuff, I did find that the skiing was amongst one of the best out there. So Vail's going to take home number 3 spot. Yeah, and if I was still in Colorado, I think I would go hit that again because it was just really, really fun. Number 2 is Copper Mountain. I was just here for opening day yesterday, and it honestly looks like they opened more runs. I can't really tell from the trail report, but it actually looks like they opened up a few more like fingers in the main area. Could be wrong, could be right, I don't know. But even based on what was open for opening day was really, really impressive. They had the 2 lifts open, the one off the bottom and then the accelerator lift. So kind of cool to help separate people and make you feel like you kind of had this top to bottom skiing. Even though you had to take 2 lifts, it was still like easy to maneuver. The access to Copper I think is pretty easy. I mean, it's just past the Silverthorne area right before you go over Vail Pass. You do have to take the bus over unless you want to pay to park, but it's kind of all part of the experience and part of the fun. I think one of the things that was different than all the other places was the ski racers. The ski racers and teams are using the accelerator lift, so you'll get a lot of traffic at that lift, and yeah, a lot of ski teams, ski schools and stuff like that. So it's kind of added like this crowded element at the lift, but not up on the actual run itself. Of course, the park at Copper is one of the best out there, so they had this very sort of extravagant early season hike to park that I think a lot of people enjoy. Just got to be heads up because, again, lots of different skill gaps, people who are laying down some turns, people who are hitting side hits, sort of all come together in this melting pot, and it can create a dangerous situation. But I was very impressed with Copper. The grooming was great, the snow was good, and the amount of terrain was really, really awesome. So number 2 is going to be Copper Mountain. And at this point, you're probably not surprised, number 1 is Keystone. I can't get over how good Keystone is. so early on. I mean, I think they have the same terrain open just about as what they opened with, like early in November. Their website says 7 runs open, but again, just sort of being like, this is still kind of all one run. I mean, they have Silver Spoon that kind of diverts people. You all kind of meet back up in the same spot. But even though they say 7 runs open, at the end of the day, it's kind of all one run. It's basically just like one big school marm. I think the cool part with Keystone is that they have like 3 different lifts serving this terrain. So you can take the gondola up, you can take the Summit Chair, Summit Express, or you can kind of just do half laps and do Montezuma back up. So it really creates a good experience, I think, for the crowds, even if it is crowded, which it likely will be very crowded. They have 3 lifts servicing this terrain, which is kind of unique for early season skiing. And honestly, the thing I like the most about Keystone is just like the different in pitches. You have some flat areas, a little bit more mellow areas, then you have some steeper areas. So it just makes it for a really fun 2.5 mile run. I think even if you're on it from top to bottom, it'll take you 4 to 5 minutes to get down. So it just really feels like you're actually skiing. So Keystone's gonna take home the #1 spot because it just has the most terrain, the longest amount of terrain open. You can basically just park in the main parking lot, walk across the parking lot, and you're right there at the base. So the access, all that stuff is very easy. However, you will find a very wide range of skill level on the mountain, so just be very heads up. There also is a little, hike to rail box park again, so kind of cool that it has something a little bit for everyone. I just really enjoyed the Keystone skiing because it felt like I was actually able to sort of get some sweat rolling down my back. There's amazing views off the top and just like a cool sort of setup with the 3 different lifts. So I think if you're planning on skiing this weekend and you have an Epic Pass, I still don't think you can go wrong with Keystone. I think Vail is also another very viable option if you want to take the longer drive over there, and it might actually be worth it when the weather is decent. Bluebird skies, easy to sort of get over the pass. I would say Breckenridge is another viable option, especially if you want more of that ski town feel. It could be fun to sort of take the gondola up, take a few laps, and then maybe go into town or something afterwards, go explore Main Street. And if you're on the Icon Pass, I think you really can't beat something like Copper Mountain. Sort of like a really fun, vibey atmosphere with some good amount of terrain open, nice terrain park as well. But if you're looking for something close to the Denver area, Eldora is going to be hard to beat as long as you can sort of work your way through the crowds and the slushier snow. So at the end of the day, you really can't go wrong with any of these places. I think right now the focus is just getting your gear back in shape, getting your ski legs back under you, and just getting back out in the mountains. There's really no better feeling than sitting on the chairlift, feeling the wind in your face, hearing that like dunk, 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 dunk as you kind of go across the different chair poles. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. So I think just sort of tailoring your expectations, managing your expectations, and just enjoying while you're out there is the name of the game. Be safe, don't get hurt, have proper mountain etiquette early in the season, and I just kind of always preach practice defensive skiing early in the year. So I hope this sort of shed some information for you guys. I am back in Utah, got my boots figured out, got to do some stuff with Luna tomorrow, and then just sort of resting up a little bit for the next round of openings, which are gonna hopefully be here in Utah. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget the live stream is going down tonight, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here in Luna. So take it easy, fam. Happy Wednesday. Peace out.